Facebook page, and then ask your questions in the chat, and feel free to also speak up and unmute yourself or whatever you want. This is a conversation, free, casual, flowing. Let's just talk about how people are and what's going on. Okay, so let me just start with the Facebook page, and we'll start from there. Okay, Nancy says, hi, Sonnet. I picked up my son from school at the time, so unfortunately I can't make it to office hours today, but I do have a question. My cover song that you all signed to your catalog is an old hymn, Amazing Grace, so it's public domain. I'm not clear on who owns the composition and publishing rights to our arrangement. Do I need anything to do anything with my PRO regarding that song? Thank you. So let me understand what you're doing. I'm not clear on who owns the composition and publishing rights. Songs, oh, because it's public domain. Okay, so do I need to do anything with my PRO regarding that song? Thank you. The only thing that you get paid on for a cover is your master, is the sound recording. So you have to register the sound recording part of things. But for a PRO, you're going to be registering not who owns the master, but the songwriting. So you wouldn't, I don't know. Why am I confused on this? Victoria says you can list the publisher as public domain, as publisher. So I guess that's your answer. That's good. Good to know. Thanks, Victoria. Great. Okay, so that's what you do. Okay, Moon Frenzy says, hate that you can't make sessions on Thursdays because I teach, but was curious what percentage of Catch the Moon's business is licensing for advertisements versus TV film. It was like 50-50, or is it more 70-30 in favor of one or the other? I was discussing issue with my accountability partner, Marty, that sometimes music for film TV does not really have the build and energy that music for advertisements tend to favor. Like if music in TV film is being licensed as source music, playing on a jukebox in a bar or in a restaurant, is there more for a vibe? So curious to know where your focus as writers should be. And that's cool if the answer is do it all, totally get that. But wondering if we should weigh our efforts. Okay. There's a lot here. So I would say you want to focus in on what really benefits the song and what you're best at. So if you're like, this is the kind of music that I'm really good at, and this is what, where I excel, where I shine, that's what you want to do. And then you can always experiment, like this month, I wanted you to experiment with bringing in different sounds, different things that you don't normally write in, but that's like adding to the flavor that you already have. So if you know my music is just more geared towards TV film, it's not going to really align with ads, that's okay. I'd say experiment with the ad side of things, with really hitting those markers. But if you really want to put your best foot forward and you want to offer what it is that you have to offer that other people don't have to offer. And then also what I say is, what's the best decision for that song? Is this, you write a song sometimes and it's a great song and you're like, oh, but this isn't good for ads, so I'm going to just chuck this song. No, you'd say, okay, this is a great song, but it's not going to work for an ad. So, to keep the integrity of the song, I'm not going to try to put something in this song that's not going to help make the song better just so that maybe it would work for what an ad needs. I'm going to continue to make the song as best as it possibly can, and it'll be better for a TV film, or maybe it'll be better for a trailer, whatever that might be. So the answer is not, what do we, and then you started out asking, what does Catch the Moon do? We do both. We do TV, and we do, I just ate a handful of almonds. Now they're stuck in my throat. We do both. So don't base it on what we do. You want to do it on what's best for you and where are you going to excel, because your goal is not just Catch the Moon. Your goal is music supervisors and opportunities all around. So that's going to be, where do you shine and how can you really dial that in? Okay, Tobias says, hi, Son. Unfortunately, I can't attend tonight. I had 2 questions. Did not receive email from Victoria. Okay, we figured that out. And if we don't meet the deadline for a song assignment, what's the best way to submit to Catch the Moon later? Via the regular email address submissions? Yes, you want to just email it via submissions with a note says, you know, sorry, this is late. I know that you can't get back to me in the same amount of time. And, you know, like I'm not going to be part of whatever opportunity that first round was for, but I still want to submit this and, you know, and it will be listened to. So that's the way to do it. So that, you know, yeah, it's easy. Okay. Keith says, hi, Son and Victoria. For Catch the Moon song, Max, for today's submission, does an instrumental and vocal version of the same song count as 1 or 2? Somebody have a crow, or is that like a bird? Or is that coming from my house? I keep hearing a bird. Does, along the same lines, one interview with, I saw Eric said, mentioning creating various lengths of versions to submit. 15 seconds, 30 seconds of versions of songs to submit. Can you talk about your experience with of this today? Okay, so 2 questions. 1, it does not count as 2 songs. It's just 1, because if you're submitting both the instrumental and the vocal version, that's just 1 song. And in terms of 15-second and 30-second clips, there's a couple different schools of thought, and it just depends on who you're pitching it to. Some music supervisors don't really want you to send them a 15-minute or 30-minute clip. Some advertising supervisors appreciate a 15 or 30-minute clip, but you would still include that full length so they get the whole idea of the song.
Mama, I didn't know
for
that
advertising, it makes sense.
I didn't know.
Oh, that's cute. Somebody's talking. I'm just going to mute everybody so that we can, and then feel free to unmute yourself. So yeah, so advertising music supervisors, they sometimes ask for 15 and 30 seconds, and they're sometimes okay with receiving that. And in fact, some like it because it helps them understand, like, where does this going to fit? Where's the, you know, biggest build? Where's the drop? It makes sense to them. Definitely still send them the full version so that they understand that there's a whole song here, and it helps them also become invested in the song. So when you hear just 30 seconds, you're like, that's cool. It's like a cool jingle, but you're not really super invested in it. And when you hear that whole song, if you liked like the chorus and you go back and listen to the whole song, it just helps you, you know, really sink into the song and become a little bit more invested. So when you're pitching, I guess probably you want to know, should you be creating these? And I would say, yes, you can. And it's always great to have those, especially if you have in mind already, this is a great 15-second spot. This is a great 30-second spot that I can cut, and I can include that. But I wouldn't kill yourself trying to do that in all of your pitches, and know your audience. So it's not going to work for everybody to send that to. If you're dealing with a lot of music supervisors who do TV and film, that doesn't make sense to them to get a 15 and 30-second spot. So also know your audience when you're sending that. Debbie says, hi, Sonnet. I will need to watch the replay for this time for a good reason. My son in college, majoring in video game design and animation, invited me to go with him to meet and greet seminar with a video game composer, Martin O'Donnell. Yeah, okay, who is known for his work in Myth, Halo, and Destiny. When he was with Bungie in Chicago, he would be a great guy to have on a video session. Yeah, that would be so cool. So if you meet him, and you get chatting with him, then get his contact information and let's have him on. I would love to have somebody like that on here. That would be amazing. So let's do that. Keith says, so cool, Debbie. That reminds me, I haven't heard much talk in Access about video game music. Sonnet and Victoria, do you have anything to share on the subject? We should bring some people in. We were originally going to. We've reached out to a couple, so maybe I can make a note to see where we are with that. Get some people in. It's a whole nother type of world, video music, and it's huge. So there is so much opportunity as a composer, And in terms of placing your songs, the reason why it doesn't apply as much to the independent artists is that video games, the really big ones, oftentimes, if they're not just using like filler music and they're placing a legitimate song, they tend to go for like major label songs because they're doing like a cross promotion. So they will go to the label ahead of time and say like, what's coming out this fall when we're releasing our new video game, and what can we put on here that would coincide with your release. It doesn't always happen, but it's a big cross marketing, especially because there's so much money in video games and so many artists want to be affiliated with that. So it's a really good way of cross marketing major label artists. But I think it'd be interesting from a composer side and from, like what songs are they filling in between that to have somebody come in. So let's figure that out. Okay, David says, hi, Sana. Do you know if there'll be another submission opportunity this month? I haven't made today's deadline, but I'm looking forward to another challenge. Yes, there will be another one. We're only halfway through the month, so there definitely will be one. We're kind of posting them as they come up, so I will let you guys know, or Victoria, of course, will let you guys know when the next one is, so do not fear. Elle says, I hear it too. Okay, great, good, thanks. Who has the bird squawking? Makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right, any other questions, guys? What else is coming up? Cecilia says, feel better. I feel okay. I just have almonds stuck in my throat. Not good. Try to like scarf something down so fast. Anything? What else? What else is going on? You guys have submitted for the songs. The bonus opportunity is going to be really fun. I'm excited to do those one-on-ones to really get this chance to chat with you guys. I know Victoria is too. I was advised to reach Indie Game Maker. How can I reach them? Well, I don't actually, your guess is as good as mine. So it's like, we just kind of, the difference is what we do is like, we just keep digging until we figure it out. So we're constantly looking for like, oh, well, this ad came out and it was this supervisor on it or this agency behind it. Who's the people behind that? And how do we work backwards? So if you want to get in touch with them, like how can you figure out where their contact information is? And if you can't, can you find anybody on LinkedIn that works there? And can you figure out their email formula, or can you try like 4 different email formulas? Is it first name dot last name? Is it first initial, last name at, and then you can figure out the bottom part. So you can send an email and just, put all of those email options in your BCC and see which ones, most of them will be returned. And if one doesn't, then you can come back to you. If they don't return back to you, then one of them made it out there. There aren't that many different options when it comes to the way that companies set up their emails. It's either just like first name at, or there's a lot of different things. So I would just keep digging until you figure it out, and look on LinkedIn, see if there's anybody that knows somebody that can make that intro for you. Facebook, Twitter, people are active on there in different places, and maybe it's not the exact person you're looking for, but you can find somebody who's connected to the person that you're looking for. And if you see a phone number, just pick up the phone and call. That's always a really good way of kind of like taking out all the email guessing as well. Cecilia says, do we need to include BMI numbers in metadata? You don't need to include it. It is something that's just extra. So it's like, say a song places, a music supervisor is going to come, actually the truth is when I do licenses, they're not asking me for that information. Nobody's asking me for the BMI number. They're asking me, are they BMI, are they ASCAP, are they CSAC? So that information is really just extra, and it's like if they needed it on the off chance, that's there in the metadata, but it's not that they're looking for it and they're not going to call you, contact you, or license the song if they don't see that information. Whether you're BMI or not is very important. They want to know that, and they could still probably figure it out if you don't have that, but that's something good to include because it just kind of legitimizes what you're doing. And I just got afraid that I didn't record this, but I did. Yay, awesome. Okay, so yeah, that is just extra. Slightly off topic, Ernest says, but I'm curious about where people buy their gear. Is it best to buy keyboards from a local music store or online? How about software, sound levers, etc.? If online, does one buy direct from manufacturer or through third parties like Sweetwater? Cool, I like this question. Here's what I want to do about this question. I want you to post this question and start a conversation on the page so that everybody can kind of chime in and we can get like a good amount of information on where are people buying their gear and what's their experience with it and what are the best places, where are they liking to get their sounds, because there's a lot of different things out there, and I would love to have that discussion on the page so that people can continue to add to that. So do you want to post that to the page to get everybody in on that? Ernest? Does that sound like a good plan, people? Okay, cool. We have a good online chat about software. Great. I like it. Yeah, I just think that it's a great plan. Cool. So I will look out for your post. I will comment on it. Victoria will comment on it and tag us in both of that. Both tag us both so we get that. Struck says, I had a new rap music with explicit lyrics. Do you ever get licenses that allow cuss words? Once we got explicit lyrics, we're okay. So most of the time it says no explicit lyrics. So the idea would be, if you're doing it, have a clean version, usually pitch your clean version, say that you have one with explicit or pitch both at the same time, but know that for the most part that they're gonna want the clean version. And says, hi Sonnet, if we have a song that your team is interested in, but the mix mastering needs improving, what would be granted the time to fix everything and resubmit for consideration? There's not a time frame. You can take the time that you need in order to get it done. You just want to get it done and move on to the next project. So, but not to the point of suffering or minimizing the value of the mix and master. So as much time as it takes to get a really good mix and master by the people that you trust and, not spending a fortune to get it done and then moving on to the next project. So it's not just waiting there to be done. But there's not a time consideration for that. But just know, that's with us. Also, if you were talking to other people and they were like, hey, can you get this mixed and mastered? You would want to get that done quickly before they forget that they asked you that and they needed that, and you'd want to turn that around. But for us, there's a little bit more time. If it's just to sign, if it's for a specific opportunity, you obviously need to do it in time to hit that specific opportunity. And usually that's pretty fast. Marty says, how do you know how to find out what shows are in production or in post? All of these new shows that come on TV or Netflix already have songs added, so at that point you would be reaching out for the next season, not the current one, it seems. Okay, so yes, a lot of it is figuring out who the working music supervisors are. Also, it's about reading the trades, trade magazines. They are saying this show's coming back, or this show's coming in, or this person's going to be the new director of this show. So it gives you an idea of what shows are coming out. But in general, if you're in touch with music supervisors that are working, they're going from one show to another. Maybe they're working on 5 shows. So one person that you're in touch with, they might be picking up that next show. And so you're constantly in touch with them. And if you're like, oh, it's been 3 weeks, I'm going to reach out. Is there anything you need? Well, I'm working on this new show. that's another way of finding out, and just being in touch with the music supervisor, rather basing it, there's two ways of doing it, basing it on the show, but don't lose hope if you were like, shoot, I didn't know that show, but maybe you were already reaching out to that music supervisor and you didn't even know. So you want to be checking in with them and following up and constantly, pitching new stuff to them. And a good way is, again, to read the trade magazines. That kind of helps. Okay. Cecilia, how often are you able to pitch songs in the Catch the Moon library? We're pitching every day, so some songs get pitched every day, and some are just, really niche songs that are going to be pitched once every couple of months, so maybe once a year. It's something that's just like, wow, we hardly ever get asked that, but when we do get asked for that, we have the perfect song. But for the most part, we have a library of songs that we can pitch all the time. So we are always pitching. How often are you able to pitch songs and catch? Yeah, so I think that's your question. Sometimes we're pitching the same song every day. Sonnet, have you shared with the class a brief version of how you got into sync and your position with Catch the Moon? I know you wrote Overstock ad commercial. Was that your intro to this part of the biz? No. Well, I guess there's like a couple of, I've always been an artist and songwriter, singer. That's my background. I went to UCLA for music. I've always studied music. I'm a singer mostly. And then I started songwriting, and I placed one of my first songs in a Coca-Cola commercial. And from there, I just was kind of trying to figure out how it works, but not doing the diligence that Kathy was doing, where she like really, reverse engineered it. I felt like it was this mysterious thing that like magically happened. I just happened to write the right song. And actually I'd written a song called You're No Good for Me. And then Coca-Cola had seen me singing something else, and they asked if I had any songs because they liked my voice. I said, I have this song, You're No Good for Me. And I recorded it and sent it to them, and I changed it to You're So Good for Me right before I sent it, because I thought nobody's going to want to license a song called You're No Good for Me. So I changed it to You're So Good for Me, and I got that commercial. And I didn't do, I just was kind of like, oh, well, it was just luck. I didn't know how to do the work. And so then I got another one, Overstock.com, and that one was, I was like, again, oh, it's just luck. Like I'm trying to figure out how to, like, what the through lines are, but I didn't have all the information, and you're really isolated. You feel super alone, like I think a lot of you guys did before this class, where you're just like trying everything and you're wearing all these hats, and it's really frustrating, and you're just not sure where to go. And so at some point Kathy reached out, and she was like, you should come to my class, and I like your music. And so she started wanting to represent my music, and we started talking. And I was like, I want to work for you. We started chatting, and she didn't have anybody working for her. And I was like, you need somebody to help you. And so I just kept showing up, and it turns out she lived down the street from me. So I just kept showing up at her house, and I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to help you. I want to figure this out. Like, give me something to do. And I just kept showing up, and eventually it turned into, a full-time position, and then it just kept growing from there. We like have grown so many different things together because of that. So I didn't start out on the business side of things. I really was just like an artist trying to figure it out, and learn the business through my own placements, and then learned what it really takes to have that consistency with Kathy and building that with her. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I haven't shared that story. So yeah, thanks. Maybe I've shared it in the past. Katie says, working on my spring tune and trying a different direction from my usual acoustic singer-songwriter style. Looking forward to the event in LA. I'll be traveling from Philly. That's so exciting. I'm very excited to meet all of you guys in July who are coming. Any links to those magazines? I love your music. Thank you. That's really sweet. I have so much music that needs to be released, and I'm excited to make that a priority this year. So hopefully more music coming. links to those magazines. I mean, you can look them up. I don't have it, like Variety magazine is one. You know, I don't actually think that they probably have some information that's free, but you can just buy the magazine like a hard copy or subscribe to get the information for Variety. Variety is a really good one to start with because they kind of cover a lot of that industry on the inside. Catherine says, I'm assuming that as far as Catch the Moon song agreement goes, a cover song can't be considered one stop, correct? Correct. Since the publisher, yes, it's not one stop. You know, which obviously, like, if somebody's asking for a cover, they know it's not going to be one stop. So it's not like you're expected to make it one stop somehow. They get that. Anything else? What else, guys? Thanks for the clarification. No problem. Yeah, so don't worry. It's not a stressor. If a cover got licensed, how much money is realistically made? That's such a tough question because it really, really varies. I mean, it depends on what it's for. It depends on the usage. If it's like an online thing, if it's just for Instagram, if it's a national commercial, if it's a television show, and if it's a major artist, if they are licensing something where they have to pay $100,000 for the publishing side, you know, they're going to try, they're doing a cover, they're going to try to get less for the sound recording, obviously. And of course, as an indie artist, you'll be like, that's fine with me. You know, I didn't write the song, I just did a cover and I'm totally fine with that. So it just really depends. It depends on, if you think about it, like, so we just did a TV license and I was doing paperwork on it yesterday. It was $2,500. So that's for both sides. So it would be like half of that maybe for your sound recording. That's just for a little placement. You know, we've also done recently a television placement that was $10,000 for both sides. So it's $5,000 each side. And if they don't change the percentages based on, you know, if they're like, we can clear the publishing for $5,000 and they're going to be like 50-50 with you, then you might get, you know, $5,000. Or if it's an ad, you know, we just did an ad for like 17,000 or, you know, whatever these ads are that we're doing. We've done some really big ads lately. So if you if you split that in half, you know, it could be the 50-50, but most of the time they're going to spend the bulk of the money on the publishing because, you know, that's the harder part to clear, depending on the artist that, you know, they did that for. Is it possible for a cover song to be licensed and make nothing at all because you didn't write it? Let me see. What would the scenario be that your cover song would make nothing? Well, you own the sound recording, so you'd have to give them some permission to use your sound recording. If they re-recorded exactly how you did it, and they were like, oh, we love the way that they made this rock song into a reggae song, but we don't want to license it from them, we're going to make our own version of it, you wouldn't get paid for that. And you can't really, you know, you can't cover yourself in that. But, you know, you just hope that you bring something special to the table, and it's a lot easier for them to just license it from you than to try to recreate something. So I don't know, unless you gave it to them gratis because you were like, you can have it for free for some other purpose. Okay, good to know. Great. Gotta go teach guitar now. All right. Bye. Okay, guys, what else? Anything else going on? We're good to go? Everybody's happy? I like all the smiles, thumbs up. We got good faces. Everybody's good. All right. Then I will see you guys next week, and have a wonderful week. Okay, bye.